Oh, hello, everyone. Just adjusting myself. There it is. All right. Well, hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. So, if you are unfamiliar with our show, let me tell you what this show is about. This show is the show where I'm right all over the place. This is the show where we like to talk that real talk about that real talk in education, employment, mental health, physical health, anything else that is steamy. And I am excited because today I have a repeat guest. I love it. I love it when the guests come back on. When they come back on to the hot seat, her name is Sandi Masori. I hope I'm saying her name right. And I look forward to talking to her again. So you're asking, Gabrielle, what's the topic for today? You always have a topic. And what is that topic? Well, let me tell you what that topic is. So, our topic for today is having a child with a disability part 2. So, obviously there's a part 1, right? You could check that out on our social media and in our video library. So, check out that prior episode. So, I should have mentioned that in the beginning. So, not only do we have a repeat guest, but we have a repeat topic. And I am excited about both of those things. And I know we like to repeat topics here on Hot Topics, but listen, our perspective is that there are multiple perspectives on a single topic. So that's why we like to bring back topics and we like to bring back guests. So I'm excited and I look forward to see where we are going with this. So without further ado, let's get right to it. So let's remind, me, I know I confused the pronouns. Gabrielle, I'm going to remind you about who Sandi is. So, who is Sandi Masori? Let me tell you who she is. So, Sandi Masori is a self-publishing strategist, YouTube creator, and formerly was known as America's top balloon expert. Though she has achieved high honors, she always felt like she was the black sheep of the family. Though she was a textbook case of ADHD, because she was a smart girl in the 70s/80s, they didn't diagnose her as ADHD or hyperactive. They just labeled her a behavior problem and repeatedly told her, if you would just sit down and focus. She was finally diagnosed in grad school while pursuing a teaching credential. It was like a light bulb went off, and for the first time, she understood that it wasn't her fault. There was something else at play. Fabulous. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to bring Sandi to the stage. Hey, Sandi, how you doing today?
Hi, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thank you for coming back on. I look forward to this conversation. All right, so last time we talked about you having a disability. So now today I wanted to talk about your son having a disability.
Both my sons, yeah.
Both of your sons, right?
Yeah, although I don't know that I don't know that I've ever thought of ADHD as a disability specifically before. I mean, it can be a challenge for sure. Um, but and although I recognize that it is a disability, I mean, my son in college, is has accommodations for it. I never really think of it as a disability. I guess because it's an invisible disability, right? And when we
Yeah.
think of disability, we think of the visible ones, really. Like the invisible disabilities are not really just not real disability. I don't know. Like, like there's almost even a kind of guilt in saying it's a disability. I feel like, you know.
So
Kind of yeah.
what would you call it?
I don't know. I don't have a better word. I really like twice exceptional as a way to describe my children, you know, that they're both brilliant and also have some neurological challenges, right? Some biodiversity. Um and I didn't realize that I had an opinion about the word disability until just now when you said it, actually, to be honest. Like this is something that's completely yeah.
Well, I guess you see it as like the word disability like a crutch.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I never really thought about this word and my relationship and my reaction to it until just this moment. So I apologize that I'm kind of taking this in a different direction because it, you know, being ADHD, if it goes through my head, it's coming out my mouth. Um, but
Whatever, what just let it all out. This is a
but back to, you know, it's actually kind of interesting because you know, I realized that for example, okay, both I have two sons, and I need to be careful what I say and how I talk about them because both of them are, well, one's 21, one is 15. They have their own life and their own opinions and their own you know, thoughts on how public they want to be. So I do want to be careful to not overshare on their behalf. But both of my children are ADHD, and both of them are extremely, extremely smart. And I'm complaining, not bragging when I'm saying this, please understand, because that also brings in its own challenges. And then my younger son, although I have not had him formally diagnosed, I have always suspected that he was falling off the very, very far edge of the Asperger's spectrum. So there too is another place where I disagree with the authorities, I guess, that I've never really thought that autism and Asperger's should be considered a spectrum. That I think that they're very different things. But anyways, again, I digress. But when I'm thinking about it, and I'm thinking about the word disability, and I'm thinking about accommodations, and I'm thinking about parenting um, special children, or twice exceptional children, or whatever word I guess you want to use. I think the thing that really comes up for me the most is to meet them where they're at and how important that is. And I think that if I can pat myself on the back a little bit as a parent, I think that's the thing that I've really done well with my children and I've done right with them, um, is to meet them where they're at, you know, follow their interests, follow their needs, follow, I guess, instead of imposing on them my own, obviously my beliefs I impose on them, but gosh, I have not had enough coffee today. I am not finding my words well, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that my goal with my children has never been compliance, right? I have never, that always, you know, I've never wanted my kids to do what I tell them to do for the sake of doing what I tell them to do, but that I could explain and justify why I'm telling them to do things. And that's not to say that, you know, I haven't had, you know, had those moments where really the only answer you can give them is because I said so, now go do it. But for the most part, you know, I I was clear on my reasoning, and I was careful with picking my battles, because I realized that if I were anytime that I would get into a power struggle, I've lost already. And whatever the goal was going into it, once you get into that battle, that power struggle, your goal's not getting accomplished. Um, so yeah, I guess that's probably my biggest philosophy, is meet them where they're at, and compliance is not the goal.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I remember in the previous episode that we did together, you know, you briefly talked about your sons, and I remember in the words of wisdom section, you said to, for children that, have ADHD, that have um, neurological challenges, as you call it. Um, your advice was um, to include them in the classroom, to include them in the functioning of the classroom. So not just to, you know, force them to comply, as you say, but to um, make them the errand boy. I remember you used those words. So give them something to do. Let them take papers to an office or something, as opposed to forcing them to follow uh, to follow the rules of the classroom, but to involve them more. So I'm wondering if
Right.
um,
So I want to be clear that there are some rules that are that those lines can't be crossed, right? You can't hit, you can't be violent, you can't use hate speech. Those are lines that, need to have an immediate consequence, and the consequence needs to be clear, and the consequence needs to be understood beforehand, right? Those are in the classroom rules that, if these things happen, that these are the consequences, right? So these are lines in the sand that you can't cross. But in things like the kid is wiggly and just can't pay attention and isn't focusing or is doodling all over the place instead of taking notes or things like that, these are the places where what we're really seeing is the neurodiversity at work, right? Their brain works differently, they have different needs. So this is where I'm saying, yes, use them as an errand boy, or girl, send them to take a message, use that energy in a positive way. I think the biggest mistake that we make with kids, especially kids with special needs or who are twice exceptional, and this happened to me, is that we say their name so often as a way to control them or disapprove of them that they attach their name to being bad, that their very name is wrong, right? That their very essence is wrong. And when you say a kid's name all the time, that the only way that they hear it, Sandy, 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 like you have this internal reaction every time you hear your name. Oh my God, what did I do now? I just want to be normal. I just want to fit in. And so I think that, everything that you can do to work with the kid, to meet them where they're at, to use their energy in a positive way, to use their name in a positive way, is going to go with them into future life, good or bad. And I think that, so often the things that we're trying to control just don't matter. Right? I mean, I know I'm bouncing all over from the house to the classroom and everything else, but for an example of a really common power struggle between kids and parents, cleaning their room. Does it really matter if the room is clean or not? And if so, why, right? I mean, maybe you're a really neat person and it matters because it bothers you. Well, then give them an area that is under their control and that you shut the door and you don't see. And again, like, be clear on where your lines are, right? Maybe clutter is okay, but filth is not. So, once every 2 weeks, they need to pick everything up and vacuum or whatever it is so that the bugs don't come, right? Because that is a natural consequence. That is a logical thing. That is an argument that you can present, and it will make sense, right? Because it's not just I'm having this emotional reaction that I'm the adult in control and so you have to clean your room. But okay, you know what? When we have filth, bugs come, and you don't want bugs crawling on you when you're sleeping. So find those places that, okay, here's the line and here's why. And you know what? This other stuff here, it doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter if everything is picked up, if my kid is comfortable living in, for example, me, I have an issue with object permanence, right? If I can't see something, it doesn't exist. So I like, and I mean, I live in probably a state of clutter that would put somebody who's really into feng shui or really a neat freak into a panic attack. But to me, if I can't see it, it doesn't exist. So I want everything visible to me, because once you put it away, then I'm either going to go out and buy it again, or I'm going to tear everything apart trying to figure out what happened to it. So So it's kind of knowing these things, right? Being in tune with your kid and knowing, are they a person that needs the visual representation of things because they don't have object permanence? Are they a person who needs a whiteboard on their wall so that they can keep a schedule or keep track of what's due? What systems do we need to create to work with them? And I think that with them is the biggest thing. And so often what I see is parents who are not working with their kids. They're going for compliance. They're going for the power struggle. They're coming in very authoritarian rather than authoritative, I guess. And I think that for all children, that's not a great parenting style, but especially for children who are special needs or twice exceptional.
So I hear you, and it sounds you're really defensive about this. It's sort of like, so I'm wondering if it's you see yourself in them, and
I do.
yeah.
It's not just that I see myself in them. Also I was a teacher, a first grade teacher, and also, I'm a mom with a lot of mom friends, and I see a lot of other people in their parenting styles, and I see kids that I know that their parents love them and are trying to do the very best, but I see them getting into a power struggle that their goals are not actually being met. The kid is just starting to cast themselves as bad because of the power struggle, and it breaks my heart, because you're right, I do see myself in it, and I do see all the ways that that little Sandi, I guess, could have been helped and aided and protected, and where I can, I want to make those differences. And then I also see, my children are 15 and 21, so obviously it's too soon to say that my parenting philosophies are right, but my children talk to me, and I take that as a huge sign of success, that they want to spend time with me, that they want to confide in me if something's wrong, and that we have a relationship. And, you're only going to be their, you're always going to be their parent, but you're only going to be their guardian for a very short time in their life. And if you don't have that open relationship that they can come to you when they're 21, 22, 23, 18, 19, or whatever, they won't. So, yeah, I am passionate about this, both from my own, I guess, years of searching to heal myself as a parent, and also as an observer of other people's parenting styles.
So let's get into the specifics more. So in terms of both of your sons, do they both have ADHD, right? Or are there other?
They both have ADHD, yeah. And my younger one, I suspect, is, like I said, falling off the edge of Asperger's.
Oh, you suspect? So you haven't had him
I
diagnosed?
haven't had it. I haven't had him formally diagnosed, but I'm right. It's just a matter of getting it formally on paper. I've done a lot of research. Yeah.
So how do you feel about, because in all of my conversations with other guests about ADHD, it seems to run in families. So how do you
Yes.
feel about your sons having what you have?
So yeah, it is genetic, and we're Jewish, which there's a higher occurrence of it in Jewish families than the national average. Probably, because we tend to stick within our own genetic circles, similar to Tay-Sachs. How do I feel about it? It's something to manage. It's something to be aware of. It's something to be vigilant about and advocate for. And that's it. I mean, there are blessings within it, right? I mean, the ready, fire, aim personality can be an amazing thing. It's I think the important thing is knowing how to work with it. I mean, to me, it wasn't a big deal, that my kids were also ADHD. It was expected. And it wasn't like, oh my God, what are we going to do? It was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to communicate with the teachers. I'm going to be partners with the teachers. I'm going to, advocate on my children's behalf. So I'll give you an example. Like my younger son, when he was younger, could not stand in line. He would have a full-on meltdown, if we went to an amusement park or anywhere that there was a long line. And so we would get the pass for him, right? So that you can either get an appointment time at the front of the line, or you can go to the front of the line and then they let you in differently, right? And we always kind of felt a little bit weird, again, because of that invisible disability or challenges versus visible. But on the other hand, it meant that we weren't going to have a meltdown. It meant that we were going to have a great experience. It meant that that we could focus on the other things and not chasing or controlling behavior for 45 minutes. So this was me working with his needs and with what worked for him, right? I didn't see any reason to force him to stand in a 45-minute line when he wasn't able to do it and get into that power struggle. Now at age 15, he's able to stand in a line, and he knows that, that is what people do. And since now that he's able to do it, he does. So I really think it just goes back to, like, it's not a label. It's not, I mean, yes, it's a diagnosis, but it's not a one size fits all. Like, be in tune with your kid and what they need and what it means to them and to their life and what they need from you to be their partner and to advocate for them.
Right. And, once you see that they have those neurological challenges, it's important to not ignore it, but to actually acknowledge it and, take advantage of all the resources that are out there that will help your child.
Right, which brings me to medicine, to talk about medication, because I know there's a lot of controversy about that. And for my children, I didn't put them on medication until they asked for it. So although I know that it can make a big difference in the classroom, the way that my children that they expressed their ADHD, or the way that it came out in the classroom, was excessive talking and fidgeting, not violent behavior. I think when you have a kid that's violent, the medicine question maybe is much more urgent. But when you have a kid that's, that it's coming out in other ways, I think you really need to evaluate case by case whether medication is right or not. And for my children, I told, for both of them in middle school, they came to me and said, I'm really having trouble focusing. I'm not able to turn in things. I want to try the medication. And that was when we put them on the medicine, and not until then. Until then, and even after then, I really relied on partnerships with the teachers, on being vigilant, on communicating at the beginning of the school year to the teachers, hey, this is who my kid is. This is how you're going to get the best results working with them. These are the things that you're not going to get good results with. And let me be a partner with you. And so when you have a teacher that's receptive to that, you can really affect the course of your child's educational career. Another thing is that when my kids needed to change schools for whatever reason, they didn't feel comfortable in the school that they were in, or it wasn't a good fit, I listened to them and I moved them to another school. Not in the middle of the year. I did tell them always, you have to finish the year, but for the new school year, you can change schools. And that was also, I think, very helpful to them and to their success, right? I'm just not a fan of forcing kids to do something or stay in a lane because that's what somebody said you had to do. I guess I really, and especially with exceptional children or twice exceptional children, I'm really a fan of looking at them as individuals.
Right, that they are in tune with what they need and what they want, and you listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So now I'm wondering, because you brought up that, it tends to, ADHD tends to run in families, and you even brought up it tends to run in Jewish families. Was that something you were aware of, or was it a surprise to you when you started noticing symptoms?
I expected it, I think. So I guess I was aware of it, but I also didn't really think about it. I mean, I I knew that I wasn't a carrier for Tay-Sachs. This is another genetic disease that runs higher occurrence in Jewish circles. So I knew I wasn't a carrier for Tay-Sachs because both of my parents had already been tested. And Tay-Sachs is a really terrible disease that, the kids they don't live past 3 years old. So it's one that we really worry about. I didn't worry about anything else. I didn't think about anything else. I mean, I was in my 20s, and, my only thoughts were on starting a family. And then when they showed signs of it, it was for me, I guess because I had done so much self-education on the topic, when I first learned about it, when I first got diagnosed, and then, just that's the kind of person I am, it didn't faze me. It was just kind of like, you know, if you have a kid that's allergic to milk or lactose intolerant, you just adapt, you switch, you get the right milk. So it was just kind of the same thing. Like, I knew it from a really early age, and from a really early age, I started, advocating for them, and being involved with their schools, and being involved with their teachers, and doing what I could to meet them where they were at, right? So I'm going to keep saying that, because I think that's a really big one, is to really be clear on what are your motives when you're telling your kids to do things, right? Why are you telling them to do it? And there were several times when I had to check myself, because I found that I was getting into a power struggle with my children because my mom was nagging at me on something. And then I'm, bringing that over to my kids when it wasn't my fear. It wasn't something that I believed. It wasn't something that I actually felt. And so, I mean, sometimes it's really just doing a lot of introspection also.
That's interesting. So the way your mom was getting on you, and so you were getting on them, and then you see your kids pushing back against you.
Right.
And
So I'll give you an example of this.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a favor? Would it be possible? Can we do side by side? I'm sorry. I know you have a way that you do this, but I find it a lot easier if I can see your face when I'm talking to get the cues. Thank you so much. I'm like, to just stare at myself, I'm finding it very very distracting.
Okay.
So I appreciate your accommodating me on this. Hi, you're so beautiful. Good to see you. Yeah. So here's the place where I'm finding this really happening a lot is I am not a helicopter parent. And when it comes to my children's schoolwork, again, I have extremely bright kids. And so I'm able to do this maybe because they're able to do it, right? But I put the expectation on them that, and they have known from the day they were born that they are expected to go to college, right? This is, in Jewish families, it's not an option. You finish high school, you go to college, period. That's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've started talking to them about college since they were a baby, right? What college they're going to go to, why they have to go to a good school, why they have to do well in school. This conversation is happening from day one. But what I don't do is, they know they need to do well in school. They know that I expect good grades, but I don't like sit in their vein like, well, what homework do you have today? Did you do all your home? I mean, I ask them, but I don't like interrogate them about it the way that my mom did and does. And so what happens is that she'll interrogate me about their schoolwork. And so then I'll like go do it to them because I'm, having this reaction to my mom, right? So then I start like, getting in their vein. Well, when are you going to do it? Like, the kids know the homework is due. They don't need me reminding them every single hour until they do it. If they feel better to do it at 9 o'clock at night, because that's when, the time compression or whatever it is hits to form that the magic circumstances that trigger the ADHD superpower of hyperfocus, right? So that's one of the things with ADHD is the distractibility, the out of focus, the chaos, but then also there's this hyperfocus, right? For a lot of people with ADHD, that's triggered by a deadline, by a time pressure, by something like that. So if it works better for them to start at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night or whatever it is, and that's when their brain turns on and that's when they're able to like do their best work, then what is my nagging them from the time that they get home at 3 o'clock until 8 o'clock going to do except create a bad dynamic? Now, if it doesn't get turned in, if they get a bad grade, then of course we have to have a discussion about it, right? Because that was the consequence of what they did. But to me, it's really important to give them that freedom, that ownership of when they get their things done, right? And I think in the pandemic, again, my younger son, with him falling off the edge of Asperger's, he's an introvert. He really liked remote learning. It worked for him, to not see people. He was happy with all of that. And, it also really gave him the opportunity to test himself with self-pacing, with project, with getting his projects in and things like that. And, he did have to experience some consequences of some bad grades to feel the pain of why he needed to stay on top of it. Now he's in high school and he's self-motivated. He's doing well. He's joining things on his own. So I just think like to put the expectation to create the environment that they can succeed, but then to give them the ownership of making it happen. I think that's a really big thing. And so every time that I take on my mother's fear and then I bring it to my children, it doesn't work. So what ends up happening is we get into this power struggle. We have this fight. We have bad feelings. And when is the work getting done? It's still getting done at the same time that it would have gotten done if I had just kept my mouth shut for those 5 hours. And we would have, not had this power struggle and not had these, this negative energy throughout the house, and the work still would have gotten done. So yeah.
So whenever that happens, do you get angry at yourself?
I get angry at myself sometimes. I also I'll call myself out to my kids. I think that's really important with children, is to be honest with them. Like if you can let them see your vulnerabilities, if you can let them see you making a mistake and writing that mistake, I think that's a really powerful teaching for them, right? And also to show them, hey, this is what I'm doing, right? I think where we have a lot of problems with our kids is when they see us as hypocrites, when they see us doing one thing and saying another. So I think, when these things happen and you call yourself out, like, guys, I am so sorry. You know what? Yesterday, I really had no patience for you guys. I was really hard on you. And you know what? That's not okay. And I know that you're going to get your work done and I trust you. And, just let me know when it was turned in so I don't worry, kind of thing, or something like that. So, yeah. So if their version of success doesn't, okay, so I see that we have a question here. If their version of success doesn't include a college degree, then maybe it doesn't include a college degree. I mean, for my kids, it's an expectation that, we had from the very beginning. But if my son came to me and said, you know what, I really want to go to trade school, I really don't think college is right for me, as long as they're doing something that is going to move them forward, right? Whether they want to take a gap year, they want to travel, as long as it's something that will move them forward, then let's invest in it. Let's help them. Let's support them. Because you know what? My neighbors, he's a plumber. He makes better money than I do. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't go to college. He makes great money. He has a great life. They live in a beautiful house. They have a beautiful family. All 3 of their children went to great schools. So maybe college isn't for everything, and that's okay too. But what is that path, right? I mean, we got to be on a path to success, even if college isn't that your path or his path or her path.
Right. So you don't have to stick to the normal expectations or the family expectations.
Right. So I mean, like I said, we talked about college from birth, but I would accept it if my kid came and said, this isn't my path. But I would want to know, what is the plan? Like, it's not acceptable to say, oh, I just have no path, I'm just going to do nothing, right? I'm just going to work at Walmart for the rest of my life. No, that's not a path. Let's be on a path to something that will give you a good life.
Okay, so it's not like you're letting them go completely off the rails. It's, like, okay, I'm letting you decide what you want to do, but you need to have a clear goal.
Right. I mean, yeah, you all of our goal for our children is that they're not going to live with us when they're 40, right? That they're going to be successful adults, that they're going to be successful in life, that they're going to contribute to society, and God willing, have a family of their own and let us be grandparents, right? So, I mean, again, it's really about knowing who your child is and what's right for them, even if it's not, what you imagined the day you found out you were pregnant.
Yeah. I just want to throw this comment here. Thanks for the clarification. All right. All right. So you got your first public comment. Awesome. All right. All right. So, well, I want to make sure we get this in. So, in terms of, you talked about your older son being fidgety, right? So now the younger son, you said you suspect that he has Asperger's. So
Right. So he's diagnosed ADHD.
both of them,
And
or just the older one?
both of them.
Okay.
Both of them are diagnosed ADHD, and my younger one, yeah, let's say 99.9% probability of, like I said, high functioning Asperger's.
Okay.
So it shows up in the dogmatism and the rigidity to once he's accepted a rule, or that this is the way it is, like, that's it. He does not deviate, right? So for example, I remember one time I was my older son was in junior high, and maybe it was, we were doing something for his school or something like that, and I created my own parking spot. It was the edge of the line, but there was more than enough room for the cars to get around, and in my opinion, there should have been a line, another parking spot created there, and there wasn't. I created my own parking spot. Whatever, we can debate whether that was okay or not later. I believe in kind of a gray zone on that type of thing. My kid freaked out. Mommy, you have to move the car. Mommy, you got to move the Mommy, you can't park here. Mom, this is not, like, I mean, full on meltdown, freaked out. So, that's like that kind of rigidity about things that, he really doesn't understand the gray zone. He's a very kind child, but maybe needs to have things explained to him, to empathize. It doesn't come naturally, but once you explain it to him, like, oh, how would you feel, or this person might be feeling like this, then he's like, oh, okay, because he's kind, but he doesn't see it if he's not made aware.
So is it like he has a hard time reading emotional cues?
Yeah, maybe he has a hard time reading emotional cues, but also just doesn't understand maybe sentimentality sometimes, right? Like, he once told me, like, I don't understand, why would anybody want to celebrate my birthday? Why would anybody want to give me a present? Especially if they don't know me, like my adult friends, or maybe my parents' friends that maybe want to send him a present. Like, he doesn't understand sentimentality or holding on to something for sentimental reasons, or he's very, very, very logical. So anything that if I need to explain something to him, I need to explain it to him in a very logical way. I need to, to break it down into reason, and then he can get his head around it and he'll accept it. My older son is the opposite. My older son is very emotional. So if I need to explain something to him, if I can explain it in terms of emotion or empathy, then he's going to get it. So again, it goes back to knowing who your child is and working with them, meeting them where they're at and working with them in the way they need. So I'll give you another example of something that I do with my younger child that people might take issue with me for. I don't believe in screen time. That is, I don't believe in counting screen time. I don't believe in monitoring screen time. I don't believe in saying, nope, you only get 15 minutes of screen time and I'm going to take that away from you if you don't behave.
Yeah.
Because the thing that my younger son is into is computers. That's his happy place. Now he's in the engineering track. He's probably going to go into a computer science program. And if I didn't give him the freedom to explore and to be on the computer and to have the screens to his heart's content, would he develop that the way that he is? I figure that when he's playing Minecraft, when he's doing all of these things, even from a young age, he's developing those engineering centers in his brain that he needs, because that's who he is. So as long as things are getting done that need to be done, as long as the homework is getting turned in, as long as the tests are, he's testing, he's doing well, then I'm not taking his computer away and telling him, hey, you only get this much screen time per day. Instead, that's his happy place. I'm going to meet him where he's at. I'm going to tell him when I need him to do something else, right? Hey, Tuesday night, we're having family dinner. And so I need you on Tuesday night from 6 to 8 to be with us. So now he's got his head around it. I gave him advance notice, I remind him so that it doesn't come as a shock to him, as a surprise. And by Tuesday night, he's ready. And we don't have a power struggle and we don't have a fight about it because he's already accepted that this is going to happen. Right? So that's how I deal with family time. Or, for example, Friday night we went to see a play. He likes to see plays, but he likes to be home in front of his computer more. So there too, the advance notice, the reminders, and then once he's there, he can relax and enjoy it.
Right. So it's you let him know. So I know a lot of parents complain about too much screen time. But you take a different stance. You say, let him do what he wants, but just when we have to do something, we have
That's
to
right.
do something.
So again, it comes back to that. Why am I making the rules that I'm making? Do I have a reason for it? Right? So many parents are on the screen time thing because what? I don't know. Because somebody said maybe it's bad for them, or it does this or it does that, or I don't know. I talk to my kid about what he does, right? We have conversations. It's not, I know what he's playing. He's not into social media. So I'm not worried about, like the girls maybe that are on Snapchat and it's causing a lot of depression because of comparing themselves and things like that, right? He's playing games, he's doing programming, he's doing other things. So again, if it was that he was really active on social media and that was causing a negative reaction, then we would have to talk about that. We would have to deal with that, right? But that's not the case for him. So an arbitrary screen time limit makes no sense. For him, it makes no sense. It would just be a power struggle with no good reason for the battle. Because somebody said he should only have 2 hours, because why? If it's the eyes, he has the yellow glasses for the blue blocker, right? And the eye strain, when he feels that his eyes are getting strained, he gets up, he gets off the computer, he walks around, and then he comes back to it. So again, if it's eye strain that we're worried about, then let's deal with that. If it's, if it's the negative effects of social media, then let's handle that, which again, in his case, it's not. So for him, why should I take him away from what gives him comfort, what engages his mind, what he's teaching himself, for an arbitrary thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also the concern about socialization, and that they're on computers more and they're interacting with each other less in terms of the person-to-person interaction.
But they're interacting on the computer a lot, and they're having conversations and they're building friendships. You and I met each other on Facebook. Our world is interacting on the computer with other people. The entire pandemic, we went 2 years interacting with people on the computer. It is the way our world is going. So is socialization important? Yes. But let me tell you this, okay? If I would have pushed him to join things, he wouldn't. God, if he ever saw this interview, he would not be happy with me. Okay. But if I had pushed him to join things, he wouldn't, right? If I tried to push him when he was in middle school to join things, to join clubs, things like that, he didn't. This year, as a freshman, he himself completely, like on his own, he joined improv, he joined the track team, and he joined the robotics club. I didn't prompt him to do that. I gave him the space to be him. I met him where he's at. And when he was ready, he decided that he wanted to do that. So I give him the opportunities. I make it comfortable for him to do it and for him to be himself. I support what he's into. And then he directs himself to where he needs to be. Does it do any child any good if you force them to socialize with kids that they're not interested in, that they don't like, or even worse, are bullying them? Like, are we really helping them? You know? I mean, I tried that with my older son, with his fraternity, right? I tried to direct him to the fraternity that I wanted him to go to. It wasn't the right fit for him. It wasn't the right social group for him. He found a fraternity, that was a perfect fit for him. Mm-hmm. And if I hadn't backed off, he would have been trying to fit himself as a square peg into a round hole into the fraternity that I wanted him to go to. And I am so glad that he felt that he could, tell me, Mom, like, I like this better, back off, because he was right,
Right, because you met, you met him where he's at.
Right. And so the way that I treat my kids is not necessarily right for every child. I can only, and that's the whole thing. It's just really paying attention to who is your child. And you as the parent, you know what they need. And now here's the thing though, right? Because there's the two parts. There's we know what they need because we're connected to them. And we think we know what they need because society has told us this is how we have to treat our children. Right?
Yeah.
There's so much guilt in parenting, right? I mean, every day I go to bed, thanking God for my blessings and praying that it'll help me do better tomorrow. There's so much guilt. And, I think that sometimes we really have to look inwards and examine, when we're doing something with our kids, you know what I mean? For and with our kids, or when we're doing something that is what we think we're supposed to for them. Right. So again, like when I nag my kids about their homework or their test grades because my mom's doing it to me and then I'm coming to them because now I feel like I'm supposed to. Am I supposed to? Does it help?
Yeah. All right. I know.
Sorry, I'm all over the place today.
Okay, that's what I try to do here. But we gotta wind down now. I know we're having a lot of fun. So, do you have any final words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Well, I mean, I think that I've pretty passionately hit on the same message this whole conversation. So that's just it. Is I mean, your children are such an incredible gift and blessing. Even with the neurodiversity, even with their challenges, even with the ways that they are different than maybe you thought they would be when you were pregnant, or whatever, they're amazing. And when you allow yourself to really get to know who they are and to enter their world, it is just incredible. And the relationship that you can build with them is so beautiful and meaningful. And I mean, yeah, they're they're the most important people in my world, and I wouldn't want it any other way, and I know that every parent feels that way. So I think that's it. Is just allow yourself to enter their world and to see it from their perspective, and to see how you can advocate in the way that not only will help them, but will also lift them up and build them from the inside.
Awesome. All right. And on that note, all right, you guys. So Sandi Masori is all over social media, you guys. So definitely reach out to her if you have any questions, if you want to take advantage of her services. Her information is scrolling below at the bottom of the screen. So Sandi, can you want to talk about your business a little bit?
Yeah, so my business has nothing to do with any of the things that we're talking about. I just
Yeah.
happen to be ADHD and have children who are also special. But what I do for my professional life is I help people self-publish their business authority books or their memoirs. So if you want to tell your family story or if you want to talk about your industry or niche, I would love to help you do it. My website is expertbook, the number 4 and the letter u.com, expertbook4u.com.
All right, and there it is, right? So if you're looking for those services for yourself, I encourage you to reach out to Sandi. Her information is scrolling below, and so is that website that she just shared. So take advantage of that. And for those of you watching this on our YouTube channel, that information is also in the description. And I just want to make sure we get this in. So Sandi has a lot of books. So I encourage you to go get her books as well.
Thank you.
It is on Amazon. So she has a whole bibliography. So I encourage you to go out there, check out her books. Do you want to briefly talk about your books?
Sure. So 6 of my books are about balloons. Prior to helping people with their books, I had a balloon company, or I guess I still have a balloon company, and so 6 of them are talking about balloons. Probably there's 4 of them that are what we call recipe books. Those are probably the most useful for general audiences. One of them is about making hats and animals. That's a really fun one to do with kids. And then the other 3 about decorating parties and events. So with recipes for decorating your own parties and events. So if you have kids and you want to decorate the party with them, who doesn't love balloons, right? So there you go. You can go and pick up some of the how-to books on decorating or twisting balloon animals.
Fabulous. There we go. So she has books on that. So definitely check that out, you guys. All right. All right, Sandi, thank you so much for joining me again. And, thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So I will now place you backstage. All right, you guys. And it is just you and me. I'm going to get up my banner here. All right, so we have reached the conclusion of our episode. I know we were having so much fun, but gotta keep an eye on the time. So we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us today. What was my thought? I had a thought. Yes. So wherever you are watching this episode right now, whatever platform that is, whether that's YouTube or Twitter, or if you're watching this on our website, please let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread, or feel free to reach out to us on social media or by other means. I definitely would like to know what you thought about this episode. Your feedback will be appreciated. And as a reminder, so this web series is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you are interested in tutoring services for yourself or for your children, or if you want to learn more about our company, please reach out to us. The information is scrolling below, but I will say our website. It is www.astepAheadtutoringservices.com. And I also encourage you to sign up for our texting list and our email list. That information is also scrolling below. When you sign up for both of those things, either or both, I would love it if you did both, you will receive exclusive discounts, offers, promotions, announcements. You will receive exclusive information you will only get when you sign up for the texting list or the email list, or both. Definitely do both. So definitely sign up for those things and stay in touch with us. And I also encourage you to follow us on social media, whatever the button is. So, right, like us, follow us, subscribe, whatever that button is, definitely press that button and stay in touch with us. All right, and I just want to get this last message before we officially close. Whoops, wrong video.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider making a donation to our company. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, put on productions like this web series, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Note: we're a for-profit company. We're not a charity. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. And this is the part where I sign off. Bye.